Good evening there. Here I am. I'm going to do my NBA Eastern Conference prognostication extravaganza. See how this goes. What I'm going to basically do, and I'm not going to go, 1 to 15. I'm going to go 1 to 8. And we're going to go from 8 up to 1, basically. But a couple notes on the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference has been the redheaded stepchild of the two. The Western Conference is stacked again this year too, but there's some good talent in the East, and there's some new coaches. You got Doc Rivers has come out to Philadelphia. You've got Steve Nash with the Nets. You got you still got Nick Nurse and Brad Stevens. You got you still got Spoelstra. Dwayne Casey's with the Pistons. He was very good with the Raptors. You got Billy Donovan with the Bulls. So you got some really good coaches in the Eastern Conference, and I think that the Eastern Conference is going to make a comeback here, a little bit, but the class is still in the West. So let's get on with what we're going to do in the East. So my 8th rated team is going to be the Indiana Pacers. Oladipo staying healthy. I think that they've got a pretty good chance to make the playoffs. A game or two over 500 probably gets them in, even, just like in any other year. But I think that I think they've got enough to get to 8. I think what the ones that are going to come close are going to be the Bulls under Billy Donovan. And I think that Dwayne Casey's going to continue the rebuild in Detroit with the Pistons. And he still has a couple of pieces there in Detroit that I think he can work with, but he's got a rebuilding job there. So those are the two, and then I think Bradley Beal and Westbrook. I don't think that's enough to make the playoffs. They need a third piece. Brooks, I don't think, is going to be able to coach them into the playoffs. And then the Hornets. It's going to be very interesting to see what that number 1 pick of theirs is able to do early on, but it's really hard to pick them as a playoff team. So these are the almost teams, and then the Pacers probably get that 8th spot. Moving up to number 7 is going to be the Doc Rivers led Philadelphia 76ers. You gotta believe he's leaving it mostly intact. Brett Brown, I think, was a good coach. Doc Rivers is a little bit better, and I think he's got a little bit more cred. In the locker room. So I think he's 4 or 5 games better. I think he's a great big game coach. So I think he can get them into the fold, especially in the East. Moving up to number 6, and I have tiny writing, so you got to wear these, man. Number 6 is the Nick Nurse coached Toronto Raptors. The Raptors look pretty good. I will say that they kind of in the bubble, they kind of didn't live up to expectations, and I think that'll reverse. But the East is deeper this year, and that's why I have the Raptors down that far. But I think they're a solid playoff team, and then they're going to make some noise when they get there. So that's not the number 6. Don't let that fool you. Going up to number 5, they got a couple nice pieces in Atlanta. I think the Atlanta Hawks are gonna come up and they're gonna get into that 5th spot. A bit of an unknown coach, but I think you've got a couple of really good offensive pieces. They've played now for the 2nd year now. They're going into their 2nd year in the system. I think they're good enough to get to be a middling playoff team at this point. They could even surprise to the upside. Go to number 4, the New Jersey Nets. And I toyed a little bit with having them a little higher than this, but the New Jersey Nets, they bring in Steve Nash, and he has calmed down that mercurial guard of theirs, Kyrie Irving, and he's got KD coming at full strength now. So this team had some pieces. Under the interim coach, they made a little bit of a run, so they might be very good. They might challenge to be a little higher, but I'm going to put them at number 4 because it's a work in process. The number 3 team, I'm going to say, is going to be Mike Boldenhauser's Milwaukee Bucks. They really didn't add much, but they did at least keep Giannis in the fold. They don't really have enough, and they can be exposed with certain game planning, and that's a problem. So if they can be game planned with the level of talent of the coaches from a tactical perspective, even in the East, let alone the West. They're going to be a stunted team. They got to add some pieces. I think they really miss Malcolm Brogdon from a couple years back. They need another couple of pieces off. One on ball, one off. They need some guard play. Giannis can be much more of a slasher slash big man, and not try to play all 5 positions, which is what he's want to do. Number 2 is going to be the Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra, he has really proven himself quite nicely as a coach. And Jimmy Butler is he's hungry. I like it. There's some nice nucleus there. I think that's a team that, 1 and 2 are very close. Very close. That's a good team. And they could easily get to the finals, just like they just did. But the team that I do believe is the class of the East by a touch is going to be the Boston Celtics. Brad Stevens is still the mad young genius. They got rid of Horford, but he was an underproducing asset. I think that this clears up better spacing, quite frankly, for a guard-led offense, and I think that they're going to do very, very well, and run the East, and they might give the whole thing a shot. They might give somebody some trouble if they can make the finals. Whether that's the Lakers or somebody else, we'll see. But let me run through those again. Number 8. No, actually, the almosts are going to be the Bulls under Billy Donovan, the Pistons under Dwayne Casey, the Magic under Steve Clifford, and you got the Wizards under Scott Brooks, which I really, they're not going to be that close. They might be a middling team. Maybe 9th, 10th, 11th, something like that. 10th, 11th, 12th, really. And the Hornets, James Borrego's team. And that's going to be, we'll see what happens. Like, share, subscribe.